r/am I the jerk? Am I the jerk for having our neighbor move their fence off our property? Throwaway. My son helped me create an account to post this Am I the jerk? A neighbor hired a contractor to build a wood privacy fence. I came home after the posts were set and immediately suspected the fence posts were on my property. We live in brand new homes, and so I asked her to meet me outside with her survey. I had already staked out the property line, and it was clear to see the posts were on my property. Before I could say a word, she said, "You can't tell where to put a fence with a survey," which astounded me and left me shaking my head. After a few minutes of trying to explain that a survey is absolutely the way to determine where your fence should be, she threw her hands up and said, "My contractor has my survey," and walked back in the house. The next week, the contractor continued to finish the fence without moving anything. We emailed her and called her, and she ghosted us. I paid $900 to have a surveyor do a site visit and write a report that clearly showed the fence was on our property. We sent that to her from our lawyer, and she finally responded there must be some mistake. Only after more legal threats did she get her contractor back to move it off our property. Meanwhile, she trash-talked us to everyone she could and labeled us bullies, etc., and has half our new neighborhood believing her. She won't talk to us, which is actually fine by us, but it really pisses us off knowing she has created this negative impression about us. I should mention that our lots are pretty small, and we had a very large backyard project done this summer, and the fence was taking up valuable real estate that we needed to fit our plunge pool in. We tried to deal with this in a polite, neighborly way, and she forced us to bring in our lawyer. So am I the jerk? Edited to add relevant information. In the survey I paid for, the fence was measured at 12 inches into my property line. Not an insignificant amount if you ask me.
You/StephNetKin. Not the jerk. OP, you did exactly the correct thing. Your neighbor is a thief. She attempted to simply take your property. You own that property, you paid for it, and you need it. She is lucky you haven't sued her to recover the cost of the additional survey.
OP should definitely try to recoup legal fees and survey costs. Have the lawyer send another letter, this time containing an itemized bill. He alerted her before the fence was fully installed. Her arrogance should cost her.
This is definitely not the way to go if OP likes having any other neighbors. If people already believe the bullying story, it'll only get worse when the neighbor says, "and then OP sued me," which would actually be true and lends credibility to the original wrong narrative.
I would be willing to let it go if she would act neighborly. But let's look at what we know here. She needs to be spanked in court on this one. Any reasonable neighbor would have had the contractor check their work. When it's all said and done, the burden of cost to move the fence would have been the contractors since they did the work incorrectly. But the neighbor had to be a total idiot and cause OP to spend $900 at a minimum to defend himself. She's the bully, not him. Time to teach her a lesson.
You/SweatyEgg6202.
Not the jerk. She wanted more space and was just going to take it. She should pay for damage to your property, new survey, and your attorney. Good for you for following through and not letting her take advantage of you.
You/BonusMom says, not the jerk. When the neighbor pays your mortgage and taxes with the deed in their name, they can put the fence on your property. Until then, building anything on property they don't own is theft and trespassing.
You/SushiGakDNA. Not the jerk neighbor is the jerk. This is crazy. You gave a nice warning back when it would have been easy to fix, but you neighbor didn't want to hear it. That's on them.
You/LowBalance4404.
Not the jerk. I've had so many friends who didn't deal with this until it was far too late, and then became a huge issue about easement and ended up in court.
Exactly. If OP had not pushed back, then after a few years legally, the neighbor could claim ownership of that land. It could cause problems if and when OP tried to sell the house, as many people would be very reluctant to buy a house where there could be a legal issue unresolved.
Oh, funny you mention this. The neighbor in question is actually a licensed realtor, and thus should conceivably be aware of easement regulations' consequences.
You would think, but common sense isn't common. Personally, for me, realtors, especially successful ones, tend to be arrogant and entitled. Sounds like exactly who you're dealing with. Good on you for standing up to this bully.
Well, OP, to quote a fairly well-known TV show,
You are technically correct. The best kind of correct. I'm sure most can agree. I think this is a pretty cut and dry case. If anything, I think this belongs more on a revenge subreddit, even more so if you decide to sue for monetary damages for the contractor. Anyway, good luck to you, OP. Once again, I'm always open to criticism. Anything you guys can tell me will help. Let me know what you guys thought of the story in the description, and share any stories you guys might have as well. The link to the original post, as always, will be in the description, and make sure to follow for new videos every day.